What's going on, everyone? Brian here from metalhomerecording.com. Today we're going to talk about parallel compression. Now, what is parallel compression and what does it do? Well, you use parallel compression when you want to bring out a sound or make it more distinct and upfront in a subtle way. Basically, parallel compression is done by copying the signal to another channel, like sending it to a group channel, and you compress that group channel very heavily, then you mix that very compressed signal back in with the original. So it doesn't kill out the dynamics, but you still get a unique kind of more upfront sound with the compressed signal mixed in. So let's see what that looks like. In order to do this, we're going to separate out our drums onto different tracks. In this case, I'm using Superior Drummer, and I've got the overheads, kick, snare, and toms, each on their own track. In Cubase, we come over here and we say Activate Outputs, and then you click to add more outputs. In this case, I've added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Then in Superior Drummer, I've made a little preset in the Metal Foundry where in the mixer section it routes the kick, snare, tom, and room and overheads out to their own individual outputs. So I'm using a riff, a drum, guitar, and bass riff that I made to demonstrate the Axe Effect 6505 Plus preset, and this is what it sounds like. So you can hear there that each of the drums are on their own individual output. So in order to apply parallel compression to the drums and guitar, we're going to go ahead and add some group channels. So we're going to go to Project and add track and add group channels. We're going to make these all stereo, even though the kick and snare are in mono. If you want to be perfect on processing power, then you can make everything perfect, but we're just going to make 5 stereo group channels. And we're going to go ahead and label these. So this is going to be kick parallel. We've got snare parallel. We have overheads parallel. And we have toms parallel. And of course the guitar parallel. So we're going to go ahead and put a compressor on these parallel tracks. For this, I like to use the CLA 76 compressor by Waves. This is an 1176 clone. And the reason I like this for parallel compression is, well, for one, it typically sounds great on drums in general. And it's got this little all button in mode, which makes kind of a really exaggerated, weird sound that doesn't sound that great typically on its own, but when mixed in subtly, it gives really kind of a neat punch and character to the sound. So we're going to use it on the all buttons in mode on all of these, and we're just going to copy it over to all of these group channels. And we're going to start with the faders down, because we're going to be mixing this sound in real subtly. So our next step is we're going to use the sends to send our kick channel, our kick output, to the kick parallel compression group. So we're going to send the kick output to kick parallel and activate that. Now here, typically by default, Cubase will make the send a post fader send, and we're going to make it pre-fader so that the sound goes to the compressor or goes to that channel pre-fader, so the where I put the fader here doesn't matter on how that sound goes. So you can use either pre or post fader. Give each one a try, see what you like. We're just going to set all these to pre-fader. So we're going to send the snare channel to snare parallel. Activate that. Make sure all these are at 0 dB. You want to just send the full signal. And the toms to parallel. And the overheads to overheads parallel. And the guitar group to guitar parallel. And since I've made all the sends pre-fader, we can hear what's going on when I play the track, and I'm just going to solo the parallel compression channel. Let's go ahead and solo the kick. Solo my voice as well so you can hear me. We're going to solo the kick parallel, and that will solo the kick channel on our drum track. So now what we can do is we can lower the fader all the way on the kick channel and raise the fader on the kick parallel, and we can still hear the sound. So here's our compressor, and now we can just hear the sound of what's going through the compressor. So I want to set my parallel compression settings so that it's really heavily compressing the signal, typically between 10 and 20 dBs of gain reduction, and make sure it's not clipping with the output. And I'm going to go ahead and set it with a real fast attack and a slow release. So let's go ahead and start to see what that sounds like just by itself. I'm going to lower the output to make sure it's not clipping. All right, so we get kind of a snappy sound. Now we're going to go ahead and do that to all the channels. Let's go ahead and do that to the snare parallel compression. Raise our kick back up to normal. Going to go ahead and do that to the snare compression. Going to lower that snare channel down just so you can hear what's going on. Make sure it's not clipping on the output. All right, now the overheads. Solo the overheads parallel. And we want just the overhead soloed over here. bring that snare back up to normal. And we're going to drop the overheads down just so you can hear what's going on with the overhead compression. So this we have a real crunchy sound that ordinarily wouldn't sound that good if it was very present in the mix, but it's going to add a kind of bite and character to the cymbals when we mix it in subtly. And finally, let's go ahead and solo the toms parallel compression. So bring the overheads back up. And we're going to bring the toms down just so we can hear that. And we might have to loop apart with some toms because toms are not everywhere in this. Let's go ahead and loop this and compress these toms. Let's go ahead and compress the guitar. So put the toms back up where they were and solo the guitar group and do the same thing. I'll bring the guitar down so you can hear what's going on with the compressor. Set it from the beginning and compress the guitar, and I've lowered the guitar channel, the guitar group channel, so we can hear what it sounds like with just the compression. Okay, and so now we're going to set all of the faders all the way down for all of our compressed group channels, and we're just going to play it from the beginning and slowly raise the faders till the sounds get to how we want them. And let's go ahead and see how that sounds. So of course this is going to increase the levels a little bit of everything that you do it to. So either you're going to have to go back and decrease the individual levels if you want to kind of keep it similar, or you can lower the stereo bus just a little bit. In this case, it's just easier to lower the stereo out, and that's the same as lowering all the faders in the project. I hope this helps out your mixes, and stay tuned for more at metalhomerecording.com.